So you have all of these idiots protesting against the police, and they are protesting and rioting, and people are looting. And what's their big excuse? Well, we have to fight against Donald Trump. If you want Donald Trump to win, continue rioting. Continue looting. What's the biggest voting demographic in the United States? It's not young people. It's not people in their 30s. It's not people in their 20s or whatever. It's people in their 70s. Old boomers. Those are the most frequent voters. Those are the biggest voters, and the biggest voting bloc are a bunch of old people. You think people in their 70s give a damn about Black Lives Matter and the police are brutalizing and hunting down innocent black men, unarmed black men getting shot by the police? First, it was 8 minutes and 46 seconds that it took for Mr. George Floyd to be suffocated. Now it's 7 shots to the back of Mr. Jacob Blake. You think a bunch of people in their 70s give a damn about any of that rhetoric? No, they don't give a damn. They just want someone to guarantee their Medicaid or Medicare or whatever the hell you call it. That's what those people care about. And so they see all of this looting and rioting. You think they're going to be like, oh, police brutality is such a problem in America. You think they're going to be sitting there saying things like, oh my God, systemic racism and oppression happening in America? These people don't give a damn. They're living in their suburb. They're playing golf. They don't give a rat's ass about any of this stuff. So the reality is the rioters are actually helping Donald Trump because they see these rioters, they see all of this looting happening, and then they see Donald Trump saying, I'm going to put an end to all this crap. And if you vote for Biden, guess what? You're going to have more looting and more rioting. That is the message that the Trump campaign is sending out. That's the message that they are conveying. And it's very effective because you see the rioting, you see the looters. It's like ISIS. You know, ISIS happened under Obama's watch. It happened during the Obama administration. The Republicans were blaming Obama for the stuff happening in Iraq and in Syria with ISIS and all the executions that were happening. And Trump was saying, I'm going to destroy ISIS. So which candidate helped, which candidate got help from ISIS? Which candidate benefited the most from ISIS terrorism? It was Donald Trump. Donald Trump benefited from all that stuff. It's very obvious. You got some guy in a suit, some guy who plays golf and he's a, big businessman, Republican, claims to be conservative, and he's saying, I'm going to destroy ISIS. I'm going to wipe those guys out. I'm not going to say how I'm going to wipe them out because, well, then they would know my strategy, but I'm going to do it. And did any of that stuff happen? No. None of that stuff happened. In fact, it's very interesting. Right when Trump won, it's almost like ISIS disappeared. It's almost as if ISIS was no longer a problem because, well, the Russians were taking care of them and the Turks were taking care of them, supposedly. And then all of the Kurds were fighting against ISIS, and then we screwed over the Kurds because we supported Turkish expansionism into northern Syria and all that. So it really appears as though ISIS was fulfilling a particular political purpose. It served for a particular political expedience. It helped Trump get into office. And it makes you wonder about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter popped up when Obama was president. And then you had all the rioting that took place because of Michael Brown and what have you. And Americans saw all of the rioting. They saw all of the looting. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because he's going to protect us against all of this racial tension and division. He's going to put an end to all of this nonsense. Black Lives Matter did not help Obama. Black Lives Matter helped Trump. because people saw all of the BS coming out of BLM and they preferred Trump over Hillary Clinton, because Hillary Clinton was going to be another 4 years of a white liberal telling us to stop being racist against black people. And most people don't want to hear that BS. So the rioters are actually not helping their cause. They're actually making people more angry. And maybe that's the point of all of this. I am willing to say, I suspect that when Trump gets reelected, and I believe he's going to be reelected, when Trump gets reelected, most of this BLM stuff is going to pretty much disappear. Because at that point, it would have already served its purpose. And, you know, it's kind of like the Iran hostage crisis. You had Ronald Reagan campaigning against Carter. And Carter, his administration was negotiating for the release of the hostages, right? Inevitably, right? Expectedly. That's what the government is supposed to do in situations like that. But every time it appeared as though Carter was about to succeed with his negotiations, the Iranians would shift their position and make Carter look like he was losing the negotiation, that he was losing the deal. And that made Carter appear weak, and it made him appear incompetent and incapable. And that made Reagan look really good. And once Reagan won, immediately the Iranians released the hostages. And that really solidified people's perception on Ronald Reagan, that he was going to be tougher than Carter. You see, as soon as he won, you know, he came over, he put his balls on the table, and bam, the Iranians were so scared of him that they released the hostages. But then, right after the hostages were released, well, the United States and Israel began doing arms deals with the Iranians. And no one really paid attention to that. No one really looked at that and said, wait a second, I thought we were enemies. Why is Israel and the U.S. making arms deals with the Iranians? What's going on here? And it wasn't really revealed to the public at that point that what was actually taking place wasn't Ronald Reagan being so scary that the Iranians released the hostages immediately. What was happening was Ronald Reagan's high-level connections were talking to the Iranians during the whole hostage situation, and they were essentially telling the Iranians, look, keep the hostages until Ronald Reagan wins, because we want Reagan to look good, and continue the negotiations with Carter, but make him look stupid. And that's what the Iranians did. And it made Carter look bad, and it made Reagan look good. And part of the deal was the Iranians could do arms deals with the Americans and the Israelis. And that's exactly what took place. And at first, you know, people were saying that this was a conspiracy theory and all that, but as the years went by and as more information leaked out, as more things were being reported, it eventually came to the point where it was quite obvious that it really wasn't a conspiracy theory, that this was reality. And that was Ronald Reagan's October surprise. So looking at this whole situation with Black Lives Matter and the rioting and the looting that's been happening, and the fact that Trump has been using the rioting as a way to make Biden look bad, basically saying, hey, if you vote for Biden, you're going to have another 4 years of Obama. I'm going to put an end to these looters and rioters. It makes you wonder what's going to happen after the election. All these things that we're seeing, BLM, the rioters, the looters, it really makes you wonder what's going to become of them after the election. And are we going to be seeing some sort of October surprise? We'll see. Anyway, you guys just heard some theology. God bless.